I'm writing this down because I think putting it into words might help me process what happened that weekend. My name's Jake, I'm 22, and my older brother Luke is 26. We live in Chicago, and while we're used to the noise and pace of city life, we both love escaping into nature when we can. Just the two of us. We've been close since forever, despite the 4 years between us, and those weekends trekking or camping give us a way to shut out everything. Recently, with all the stress from work and school, we planned a short escape to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Nothing too crazy, just a couple of days to relax outdoors and get fresh air. We had no set plan to cover miles or anything. It was more about being outside, resetting. When we first got there, the park was surprisingly crowded. Families with kids, dog walkers, tourists snapping pictures everywhere. That wasn't what we had in mind at all. We wanted to get away from the noise, so Luke suggested we veer off the designated trails into some of the untouched parts. We knew it was technically illegal, which felt thrilling but weird at the same time, because we didn't understand why such a beautiful place wasn't open to exploring in all areas. Still, we wanted peace more than rules. We found a dense patch of forest with tall pines and thick underbrush, the kind of place that feels like time forgot it. It looked perfect for setting camp and having some quiet. The day had been brutally hot. It was one of those heavy summer days. No clouds, sun blazing, and sweat clinging to your skin with no respite. Despite the heat, we joked around while hiking, laughing about the idea of going fully wild or living off the land like we saw on survival shows. As a sort of game, we found some berries, bright red and plump, clustering on a small bush. We weren't sure exactly what kind they were, but they looked inviting, so we nibbled a few each just for fun. Luke grinned wildly and said we were pioneers now, trying wild fruit. I threw him a raised eyebrow, but joined in anyway, thinking it was harmless enough in small doses. After eating the berries, though, the temperature seemed to rise even more, or at least, that's how it felt. The air thickened, and an odd hush fell over the forest. Normally, you'd hear birds chirping or squirrels scampering, but instead, everything grew alarmingly quiet. Luke noticed it too, and made a joke about the animals holding their breath or something, but there was no laughter in his voice, just a little unease. We reasoned it was just dusk settling in. Wildlife often gets quiet as night approaches. Still, I couldn't shake the feeling that the silence was too complete, too unnatural. The shadows lengthened rapidly, and chillingly, the woods seemed to swallow every last trace of sound. We set up our small tent, facing a narrow clearing we'd found just off the trail, hoping to catch some breeze. The sky darkened quickly as we fumbled with our gear. That's when the feeling hit me square in the chest, like something was watching us from the forest's dark edge. Luke shrugged it off at first, telling me to stop spooking myself, but I knew he felt it too. Then the cramps started. A stabbing pain in my stomach that made me double over, and Luke wasn't faring any better. The berries, goddamn berries, were wreaking havoc on us. We decided not to build a fire or cook anything else. The last thing we wanted was to be stuck dealing with flames while feeling this sick. So we sat there in the growing cold, with nothing but the dim beam of our flashlights piercing the darkness around us. The quiet around us didn't last. Slowly but surely, the forest seemed to come alive again, not with ordinary sounds, but with a chaotic symphony of strange noises, low rustlings, snaps of branches, whispers that felt almost like voices. Sometimes it sounded like footsteps circling us just beyond the reach of our lights. Luke, trying to be the older brother and keep me calm, moved toward one side of the clearing, when suddenly he yelped in pain. I heard the snap and his curse before I saw the blood. His leg caught badly on a jagged broken branch that looked like it could have been a natural hazard, but it was far too sharp, almost deliberately placed. The thought that maybe it was a trap didn't seem so ridiculous in that moment. Despite the pain, we made up our minds that we had to get out of there. As much as Luke wanted to tough it out, we weren't equipped to handle what was happening. Whether it was sickness, the mysterious presence, or both. We packed up in silence, the tension in the air thick enough to cut with a knife. The forest seemed to close in on us, the path back feeling endless and unfamiliar, even though we had just come through it. By some miracle, we made it back to our car, where I started it immediately and turned the heater on high. The cramped, warm space felt like a haven compared to the cold menace outside. The next morning, with Luke's legs swollen and bruised but stable, I drove him straight to the hospital. The doctor said the berries we ate were toxic in a way that didn't just upset digestion, but also altered perception, causing hallucinations and paranoia. Part of me wanted to believe that's all it was, that everything we experienced was just a bad trip caused by some poisonous fruit. It felt like a relief to have a medical explanation. But then, as we were heading back home, the radio scrambled and cut into the usual programming with a breaking news alert. The park where we had been? There were reports of several people who had vanished recently. The FBI was involved. They'd launched a manhunt for a potential suspect lurking in the area. Suddenly, what we had taken for strange noises and eerie silence felt a lot more sinister. Had we just been caught in something far worse than we feared? Had our sickness and the shadows concealed a real danger? Maybe even a psychopath hunting in the woods? The question gnaws at me constantly. Even days later, I find myself glancing over my shoulder, wondering if that presence ever really left, or if it's still out there, waiting for the next unsuspecting visitors. Whatever happened, I know one thing for sure. I'll never underestimate the wilderness or the mysteries it hides, especially not on a blistering hot summer night.